Introducing a completely redesigned experience that you can sense. And that senses you. The new Dell Latitude laptops bring your work closer to you.
Tonight, closing in, fresh hope. The search for Samantha Murphy is nearing an end.
A grieving family's fury at the sentence given to a drugged-up speeding driver who killed a teenage girl.
An out-of-control car ploughs into the Lobster Cave, shocking diners and sending plates flying.
An angry mum slams the Forum Theatre for refusing to let her baby into a concert.
Fears not enough children are being vaccinated against the flu as cases among kids surge.
And live to Adelaide as Carlton and Port kick off round 12.
This is Melbourne's 9 News with Alicia Loxley and Tom Steinfort.
Good evening. Confirmation tonight the mobile phone found in a dam near Ballarat belonged to missing woman Samantha Murphy.
Investigators now hope data from the device can lead them to her body. Crime reporter Gillian Lantouris has the latest.
Samantha Murphy's husband says he knew instantly that this was his missing wife's phone. Mick was called after a police sniffer dog brought in from interstate discovered it in the mud beside a dam. Nearly 4 months after the 51-year-old mother went for a jog and never came home.
This is the game changer for the investigation.
The search took place at a property near Slaughterhouse Road, south of Buninyong.
Of all the waterways to explore, they've chosen this one, I believe quite firmly, for a reason.
The homeowners have told 9 News they were approached by detectives just weeks after Miss Murphy's disappearance. Warned the area would be searched, considering the dam is just 5 kilometres away from the phone tower that triggered her mobile's last ping.
We'll work out where that phone has been, what else has been around it and how many times it's been used right up until it went flat.
The phone was inside a wallet that held identification cards. Now, crucial pieces of evidence. Forensic investigators are hoping data from the actual device could reveal her movements on that day in early February and possibly lead them to her body.
Well, the physical components of the phone will obviously be damaged, but what's behind it, those ones and zeros, the data will be retrievable. So, for example, an exercise app where information has been backed up.
Police divers searched through the dam yesterday but found no further trace of Samantha Murphy. It's understood police will continue to look for clues along this road and try and answer the burning question of why and how her phone ended up at this rural property. Detectives have been out today targeting various areas, but nothing was uncovered. Samantha's accused killer, 22-year-old Patrick Oren Stevenson, was arrested in March just 7 kilometres away from where her phone was found. It's understood he's still not cooperating with police. Detectives are now one step closer to providing answers for her loved ones. In Ballarat, Gillian Lantouris, 9 News.
The family of a young woman killed in a high-speed Thomastown crash is furious. Their daughter's killer could walk free in just over a year and a half. Shay Proctor had a shocking driving history and was high on drugs when he left his teenage friend to die. Neri Tai was in court.
Furious loved ones could barely hide their anger and devastation after leaving the county court.
It's a joke, it's a disgrace.
Shay Proctor was sentenced to 4 years and 7 months, with a non-parole period of 2 years 10 months over a deadly collision which claimed the life of his passenger, Lara Guglielmi. But with time already served, he could be free in just over a year and a half.
He gets out in 2 years and does the same over and over again.
The father of 3 was high on meth when he was speeding at more than 170 kilometres per hour in a stolen car, slamming into a Mercedes in Thomastown. Instead of helping the injured, Proctor fled the scene following the fatal crash in March 2023.
She was the sweetest girl you could ever meet.
Today, the court heard Proctor has spent most of his life in prison since the age of 16, with a long list of prior convictions, including driving offences. In June 2021, he was involved in a police chase. Disqualified from driving, he was the subject to a CCO in late 2022 and was only released from prison in February 2023, around a month before the deadly crash.
In sentencing, Judge Johns took into account Proctor's plea of guilt in the Koori court, noting the Aboriginal man had a turbulent childhood. He would often flee home to escape family violence.
He gets to live his life with his kids while we're one kid short.
Neri Tai, 9 News.
Shock and disbelief were on the menu at a popular Bayside restaurant last night. As Julia Passarelli reports, the dinner service at the Lobster Cave in Beaumaris was rudely interrupted when a car came crashing in.
They didn't expect this in the middle of dinner, but it's what dozens of diners were served at the Lobster Cave last night.
Call an ambulance and call police.
We were having a feed, we were having some lobster and some nice eye fillet, and we heard an engine scream.
Mark Hardman was sitting right next to the window when the white sedan ploughed through. His friend at the opposite side of the table was sent flying off her chair.
I think everyone was a bit shaken. You just don't know. I mean, I think anyone sitting, if you were at this end of the table, you'd either be dead or you'd be very, very sore.
The 77-year-old man behind the wheel had accidentally hit the accelerator. Somehow, everyone at the Beaumaris venue managed to escape serious injury.
They were within inches of the impact of that car. Luckily, the configurations, there could have been so much worse.
The restaurant has been a Bayside staple for 37 years. Incredibly, this is the third time a car has come crashing inside.
I would like to see perhaps something along the lines of bollards being put up to protect our community, because, as I said, this happened about 2 weeks ago on the other side of the concourse to a different trader, and it could happen to anybody.
The team here at the restaurant say this clean-up will take at least a couple of days, so they've cancelled tonight and tomorrow's bookings, but are hoping to be back open by Saturday.
We need to go through a process with our insurance company and obviously repairs to make sure the venue is safe to operate.
Julia Passarelli, 9 News.
A Geelong mother is demanding answers after she was refused entry to the Forum Theatre with her 5-month-old baby. Stephanie Anderson joins us with more on this. Steph, she was told her daughter was a risk to the venue's licence.
Yeah, that's right, Alicia. Jasmine had little Sana strapped to her chest with her headphones on when she and her partner joined the line outside the Angie McMahon gig at the Forum last night. But the mother says that staff then came and pulled them out of the queue and said that they wouldn't be allowed inside with their daughter because it was a strictly 18-plus event, and Sana being there would risk the venue's licence. Now, it didn't sit well with Jasmine last night and it still doesn't today, so she's contacted the Minister for Women and the Equal Opportunity Commission to ask how and why a decision like that could be allowed.
If there is a licence at risk here and that a mother with a young child is going to put that licence at risk for a venue, I want to understand what it is, and I'd really like that law to change. Like, it doesn't seem to make much sense, and to be quite frank, it seems a bit discriminatory.
Now, Angie McMahon is the artist that Jasmine was heading there to watch perform. She's been in touch today and wasn't in any way involved in this decision. We've also reached out to the Mariner Group, which is the group that owns the Forum. We're yet to hear back from them tonight, but Jasmine is very keen to see this through, saying she wants to make sure other mums who want to go to a gig feel welcome. Alicia?
OK, Steph, thank you.
One of Victoria's largest childcare providers has been targeted in a cyber attack. Amber Johnston is following the story for us. Amber, what information was compromised in this breach?
Well, people's identification documents, Tom, and to put it simply, it basically affects anyone who has walked through the doors of a Guardian childcare centre, and in Victoria alone there are 60 in total. So as you can imagine, this has possibly affected upwards of thousands of families, many of whom received an email sometime this afternoon telling them that cyber criminals have hacked the centre's IT systems. We'll put the statement up on the screens now. It reads, following an extensive extensive investigation of the incident, we have become aware that a scanned image of the ID document you provided at the time of your visit may have been compromised by the attacker. The company has assured it's not taking this lightly and says it's currently working with authorities and cyber security advisors to strengthen its systems. At this stage, it says no other information has been compromised, but it has given advice to anyone who might be feeling a little bit worried about this attack. It says they should be contacting whoever provided their ID and possibly consider getting a replacement, as well as telling them to keep an eye out for any unusual scam activity.
All right, Emma Johnston, thank you.
As we just saw, Melbourne's spell of warm and sunny weather has come to an abrupt end. Livinia Nixon joins us now with the very latest, and the showers, they've arrived, Livinia.
They have, Alicia. It's been a very windy day around Melbourne, and that's been ahead of a rain band moving across from the west. It hit the city just in time for the evening commute, and we're expecting the showers to deliver 5 to 10 millimetres to most suburbs. A little heavier in the northeast. They should clear around 10 p.m. Because it's been so long since we've had any decent rain, the roads will be very slippery, so the Bureau has issued a road weather alert for all suburbs, urging motorists to slow down and keep a little further back from the car in front of you. Always good advice, Alicia and Tom.
All right, Livinia, thank you. Well, doctors are pleading with Victorian parents to get their kids vaccinated against the flu as soon as possible. As medical reporter Emily Rice explains, they're seeing a 20% pre-winter surge in cases for children under the age of 15.
13-year-old Sandra has rolled up her sleeves to reduce the chance of catching the flu.
So I don't get, sick and so I can take care of myself.
The teenager did not even flinch when having her shot at the Royal Children's Hospital immunisation clinic.
Well done.
Influenza infections in children and teens under age 15 are up 20% compared to the same period last year. That's almost 21,000 lab-confirmed cases.
And that makes up about a third of the total number of cases across the country.
More than 90% of 5 to 15-year-olds are not yet vaccinated against the flu this year. Similarly, an estimated 86% of under 5-year-olds are not inoculated.
And the fact that we've got such low vaccination coverage rates is certainly a part of the problem.
Dr Anthea Rhodes says new polling shows confusion exists over vaccine guidelines.
Parents sometimes are not aware that they need to get the vaccine every year for their children because the flu virus changes each year.
Paediatricians want to remind families that influenza in children can be really serious. In fact, it's the leading cause of preventable hospitalisations in under 5-year-olds.
Some of the complications we see, particularly in young children, include pneumonia, infections of the heart, the brain.
And while needles can sting, some post-immunisation fun makes it all worthwhile. Emily Rice, 9 News.
There's been a shock development in the murder trial of Toby Loughnane. The jury has been dismissed after just a single day of evidence. The 44-year-old is accused of killing his girlfriend, Mariam Hamka, and burying her body near Cape Shank. Mr Loughnane has pleaded not guilty to murder, arguing that Ms Hamka died of a drug overdose. Details of why the jury was discharged can't be reported for legal reasons. A new jury is expected to be impanelled on Monday.
The federal government is using drones to track convicted murderers free in the community as it waits for court approval to lock the foreign criminals back up.
The embattled immigration minister is vowing to cancel more visas, which now is threatening a diplomatic rift with New Zealand. Here's Charles Croucher.
Andrew Giles walking out of Parliament still a minister and on his way, he says, to cancel visas.
First job is making sure that the visas which need to be cancelled are cancelled.
Tonight, around 30 visas that were cancelled and then reapproved by the Administrative Appeals Tribunal are once again under review. The minister confirming he has re-cancelled 8.
These are cases that go to some serious offending, some really serious offending, that frankly, where the decision of the tribunal does not meet my expectations.
The question tonight, who's to blame for them being free?
If you listen to this week, Prime Minister, it's everyone else's fault. It's the AAT, it's the department, it's the High Court.
Yes, there are institutions such as the AAT, the court system and other systems that's there, but the buck stops with the minister at the end of the day.
New Zealand pushed for the changes under Jacinda Ardern, with convicted criminals' connections to Australia given more relevance. That change is now gone.
Why did this weak and incompetent Prime Minister put his close and sycophantic relationship with Jacinda Ardern ahead of the safety of Australians?
All the anger's there in just one question. The anger, the abuse.
Today, Deputy New Zealand Prime Minister Winston Peters said we do not want to see deportation of people with little or no connection to New Zealand whose formative experiences were nearly all in Australia.
What we do is we determine our own policy according with our own interests.
Last year, Parliament rushed back to allow preventative detention orders to re-detain criminal migrants deemed a risk to the community. It's been 6 months and we're told the first 6 cases will soon go before the courts. In the meantime,
spot checks, random house checks, as well as the use of drones.
The day finishing with Attorney General Mark Dreyfus turning his back on Peter Dutton. The government tonight desperate to put the whole affair behind them. Charles Croucher, 9 News.
The Allen government, meantime, has ruled out introducing ankle bracelets to track family violence offenders, arguing they won't work.
Instead, from next year, protection orders will be strengthened and case management improved to keep women and children safe. State political reporter Heidi Murphy.
A rowdy Thursday question time.
Order!
Falling silent to hear about new proposals to tackle family violence.
It makes me furious and it is why I am acting.
Under proposed reforms, police will have powers to hand out longer emergency safety notices, and there'd be a new minimum length for intervention orders issued by the courts.
These changes will deliver strong and longer family violence intervention orders.
How much longer?
I'm not ruling out particularly a time frame or many matters. 6 to 12 months is just not long enough, and people want protection for much longer than that, if not forever.
The new laws to come sometime next year, but electronic monitoring of offenders is not on the cards.
When you have an ankle bracelet, it can provide a false sense of security or a belief that there's going to be an immediate response. That is not the reality.
Other new measures will be focused on trying to change the culture, starting in schools with more intensive respectful relationships classes. There'll also be age-appropriate material about toxic masculinity, hate speech and porn. And there'll be training for bar staff to identify and prevent sexual assault.
We're also doing things that other states haven't been doing.
I think we all share in the same destination here, which is keeping the community safe.
Heidi Murphy, 9 News.
Disgraced AFL legend Barry Cable will fight criminal allegations he sexually abused a girl as young as 9 more than 50 years ago. The 80-year-old today pleaded not guilty after he was charged with 7 offences last week. The former North Melbourne star was supported by his 2 sons as he left a Perth court today. The league stripped Cable of his Hall of Fame status last year following a civil judgment that found he'd groomed and sexually abused another young girl in the late 60s and early 70s. Allegations he's denied.
We have breaking news for you now, and Alistair Clarkson has avoided suspension over a verbal outburst during North Melbourne's loss on the weekend. Let's go live now to our chief football reporter Tom Morris, who is covering this story. Tom, take us through how the AFL has reached its decision.
Yeah, Alicia, it's as simple as this. The league confirmed what Clarkson said, but they couldn't verify who he said it to, which means the 4-time Premiership coach will be free to oversee North Melbourne's next match in round 13. Now, the AFL Integrity Unit ramped up its investigation this morning, speaking to a security guard and an AFL match manager who made the report after the game. They both witnessed the incident on Saturday. The match manager used to work at North Melbourne when footy boss Laura Kane was there, and the security guard's strong view was Clarkson's words were directed towards the umpire's bench. Clarkson is understood to be remorseful for using foul language in the earshot of officials and fans, and has yet again vowed to learn from the experience. But for now, at least as far as the AFL is concerned, this matter is closed, notwithstanding the reality that Clarkson really still has a 2-match suspended sentence hanging over his head until the end of 2025. And a statement from North Melbourne and the league is imminent too. I'll have both of those in sport at 6:45.
Look forward to that, Tom. Thank you.
All right, let's have a look ahead to the rest of the day. Sport now, Tony Jones.
Thanks, guys. Coming up a little later on, we're live to Adelaide Oval, where the Blues are ready to take on Port. Also, the teams for the rest of the round are coming in. Xander Maguire.
Well, Max Gawn has been named. He's fit to play despite battling a calf corky through the week and in last week's game. Harrison Petty also good to go despite him being subbed off in that game too. As for the Pies and their injury crisis, well, Tony, it's a forgotten high flyer that could be coming to the rescue. I have all those details in sport.
Look forward to it. Also tonight, speaking of the Pies, their mid-season pickup, who has a website dedicated to himself. The Bombers battle a bug big time. Ross draws on some Olympic gold to ease the pain. At Roland Garros, the defending champion fights back in an absolute epic. And a sad day for rugby union. It's the Rebels without a cause. That's all coming up a little later on in sport.
You'll be our culture correspondent later as well, we hear.
Oh, I am a very cultural person, Alicia, as you know.
We know. I'm not sure everyone else knows, so stick around.
Oh, nice slap.
We'll see you soon. All right, head for your Melbourne's 9 News. Flight drama. Jetstar cabin crew taken to hospital after they were overcome by fumes.
Plus, Donald Trump compares himself to Mother Teresa as the jury deliberates.
And lava spews 50 metres into the air, threatening towns in Iceland. The 4 members of a Jetstar cabin crew have been taken to hospital after reporting an unusual smell on board. They were on a flight from the Gold Coast to Cairns when they started feeling ill around 9:30 a.m. The aircraft landed uneventfully and no passengers were affected.
Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has caught up with his Ukrainian counterpart over the phone. Volodymyr Zelensky expressing his gratitude for Australia's unwavering support in the war against Russia. Mr Albanese told him Australia will continue backing Ukraine for as long as it takes.
Well, Donald Trump's fate is now in the hands of 12 New Yorkers. The jury in his hush money trial has started its deliberations as the former president compared himself to a modern-day saint. More from Alison Petrowski.
As America awaits a verdict, Donald Trump turned to the holy.
Mother Teresa could not beat these charges. These charges are rigged.
Throughout the 4.5 weeks of this historic trial, the former president and his team have called it a witch hunt and a scam.
This is exactly a Biden show because he's got to distract the American people.
The case now in the hands of 12 New Yorkers, 7 men and 5 women, kept anonymous for their own protection. Judge Juan Machan instructing that they must reach a unanimous decision. Jurors were told to avoid speculation about potential sentencing or punishment. 3.5 hours into deliberations, the jury sent a note asking to be read back testimony from AMI boss David Pecker and Trump's former fixer Michael Cohen. Then a request to rehear the judge's instructions.
The confusion is nobody knows what the crime is because there's no crime.
The jury will return tomorrow to rehear the evidence and instructions. During deliberations, both parties are required to remain inside the courthouse no matter how long it takes. Despite testimony from 22 witnesses, polls show little impact on the American public.
Look at where we are now, 46%.
But the First Lady believes the tide will turn.
I believe that Americans are going to choose good over evil.
In New York, Alison Petrowski, 9 News.
A bus driver in Pakistan is suspected of falling asleep when he lost control and crashed the vehicle at high speed. At least 28 people were killed and 20 injured after it plunged off a road and into a deep ravine around dawn.
Nature in all its wonder is venting its fury in Iceland, where a volcano is erupting for the 5th time since December.
But the spectacular show has forced the evacuation of tourist attractions and a town in the path of the lava. Jessica Millward has the story.
Close up, it's mesmerising as crimson-red streams of lava spew into the air. A wider look reveals the scale of the eruption and the emergency it's caused. This is the moment the volcano in Iceland's Reykjanes Peninsula started erupting for the 5th time since December. Within seconds, lava and smoke was pouring out. The chasm is now 2.5 kilometres long and growing. The nearby Blue Lagoon geothermal spa, a major tourist attraction, was evacuated. Most of the residents in the town of Grindavik left in November, before the series of eruptions, but some remain and have been told to get out. The local mayor reporting concerns about the amount of lava flowing toward the town. So far, a wall built to protect it is holding. This is the 8th eruption in the Reykjanes Peninsula since 2021. Many scientists believe the region is now in a new volcanic era that could last decades, possibly centuries. In London, Jessica Millward, 9 News.
When we return, suburban libraries offering more than just books. How to save money and storage space by borrowing things you need around the house.
A Victorian man vanishes while hiking the Northern Territory.
And Australia's longest-serving radio broadcaster dies at the age of 97. Australia's longest-serving radio presenter has passed away at the age of 97. The veteran broadcaster's career began in 1942 at 3XY Melbourne and spanned more than 7 decades. He was awarded a medal into the Order of Australia in 2010, retiring just 4 years ago in 2020.
Words legend and icon are tossed around too easily these days, but Bob Rogers was both of those things.
He's survived by his wife, their 4 daughters and son.
A search is underway for a Victorian man missing in a remote part of the Northern Territory. 64-year-old Alicia Thompson set off along the rugged Larapinta Trail more than 2 weeks ago, heading towards Alice Springs, 240 k's away. Police and local rangers have been scouring the trail on foot and from the air. His family last heard from him on May 21.
Australian beef farmers are celebrating tonight after China confirmed it's lifting suspensions on imports effective immediately. It represents a further thawing in relations between Beijing and Canberra, with billions of dollars in trade restarting in the last 2 years.
This means jobs. This means economic growth. This means significant benefit for farmers.
While restrictions have been removed for coal, barley, wood and now beef, the government says it's still pushing to remove tariffs on rock lobster.
Libraries of things are popping up around Melbourne, encouraging people to borrow everything from power tools to kitchen appliances and mobility aids. As Justine Conway discovered, demand is growing as more Victorians look for ways to ease the cost of living crunch.
Forget the rule about being quiet. These libraries are stocked with things that make noise.
If someone is in need, we just tell them, come to us.
Point Cook's Library of Things has never been busier.
There's a whole big selection of tools, spades, drills.
Around the country, libraries of things are making big-ticket items accessible to those in need.
I think it's a wonderful opportunity. It saves you cost.
Ashish borrowed a wheelchair for his mother when she visited Melbourne recently. It's the most sought-after item at the library.
Wyndham is the most multicultural suburb, and Point Cook has over 147 nationalities, which means a lot of people have their parents visiting from overseas. So when they visit, they of course need these mobility aids.
Over at the library in Hobson's Bay, robots are in hot demand.
That was really cool. Oh, it's an Autobot!
Geraldine Murphy's children are regulars.
It's wonderful just to be able to come into the library, have a look at the range, borrow something, take it home, test the water, see if they're interested.
We noticed that there was a need in the community for more than books.
While some services will cost you nothing, others do charge a small fee.
Most of them will have a membership fee of say $50 to $80 for an annual subscription, and once you're a member you can just come and borrow these items at no cost.
According to a national survey, it's garden tools that top the list of most borrowed items. And it's not just the cost of buying one that's driving people to these libraries of things.
There's also the social aspect, like they're good fun and you create a community.
Justine Conway, 9 News.
Jailed movie mogul Harvey Weinstein could face more charges, with prosecutors telling a judge they are evaluating new sexual misconduct claims against him. The 72-year-old is scheduled to be retried over rape charges later on this year.
Victorian street artist Matt Adnate has won the 2024 Archibald Packing Room Prize. Matt collected the prestigious award for his portrait of First Nations rapper and ARIA winner Baker Boy. The Packing Room Prize is judged by art gallery staff ahead of the announcement of the official Archibald Prize winner.
Still to come for you, lucrative side hustle, how to earn thousands of dollars when your car is sitting idle.
The alarming number of people being scammed by fake package delivery messages.
And stay tuned because Tony Jones is going to be reviewing Alan Rascal's musical theatre debut.
Wednesday finance for you now, and our share market fell for a third straight session. Stephanie Anderson has the details.
The sell-off on the Australian market continued today, the ASX 200 dropping another 0.5% as inflation concerns weighed on investors. Miners and energy stocks led the falls, BHP walking away from its $74 billion bid to take over Anglo American. Fortescue Metals also finished in the red, along with Santos and Origin. Woolworths lost ground while Coles closed higher. Telstra ended the day flat. And the Aussie dollar delivered mixed results against the majors. It's buying around 65 US cents and 51 British pence.
Well, it's described as an Airbnb for cars, an online platform helping cash-strapped Victorian drivers unlock a lucrative side hustle. Abby Guerin tells us they're earning thousands of dollars by renting out their cars.
Stuart Oliver's Nixon is much more than a way to get from A to B. It's now part of a growing business.
One car was making, say, $250, $300 a week. So I thought to myself, right, let's put another one on there.
2 years ago, the painter-decorator turned to Turo, the world's largest car-sharing marketplace, after a road accident left him unable to work and his vehicle sitting idle in his driveway.
You just take a few pictures, put the rego in, follow the prompts. It's pretty easy. It's just a case of downloading the app and following the instructions.
It's as simple as setting a price, then handing over the keys to your Turo guest.
Then we have a lot of hosts who treat it like a small business. They've got 3 to 9 or 10 cars, and it's really about having maybe a secondary income.
There are now 360,000 vehicles listed globally, and Turo claims Australian hosts earn, on average, almost $13,000 per car per year. The company takes a cut of the listed price from 10 to 35%, depending on the level of protection owners choose for damage suffered during a rental. Turo's proving most popular with holiday makers. 2/3 of guests are out-of-towners, and while prices vary, it's the platform's convenience that's winning them over.
They get in and get out, and that's what they love about it.
Abby Guerin, 9 News.
Alarming new research has found more than 70% of Australians are receiving package delivery scam texts or emails every week. Commissioned by Australia Post, it shows more than half of people surveyed believed a fake delivery message was legitimate.
A significant number of those have lost billions and billions of dollars over recent times. What's concerning is the sophistication of the scammers.
Australia Post says it never calls, texts or emails asking for personal or financial information.
Well, there is a new flamboyant, although maybe a little unlikely addition to Melbourne's bustling theatre scene.
Our own Alan Rascal is one of the headline acts in the all-singing, all-dancing Club Vegas, which opens tonight in the city. And so we sent along our theatre critic, Tony Jones.
Founded in 1839, the Athenaeum Theatre holds a unique place in the cultural history of this great city of ours. And now, as we discovered in this exclusive sneak peek, a whole new chapter is about to be written. And no one really knows how it's going to end.
Like sweetest reward, it flows back to you.
Yep, that's Alan Rascal, 9 News reporter by day, hoofer by night. The question that keeps coming to me is why?
Well, I cover so many shows and...
No. Why am I doing this story? Alan is part of the musical spectacular Club Vegas, where the real star of the show is Rachel Beck.
Sooner or later, I'm greater than you. No, you're not. Yes, I am.
Even Rachel is a little starstruck by Alan. I mean, you've obviously worked with a few leading men.
I have.
Where does he rank?
Up there with Hugh Jackman. I got paid for that.
At last night's opening of Sunset Boulevard, Al's debut was all the chatter.
He's got incredible charisma and he's a very, very clever and interesting and entertaining man.
Is he the next big thing?
Absolutely. I'm very excited. I mean, this is Broadway next, I think.
He's been texting me for tips about singing and dancing and costume. I think he's going to be okay.
Club Vegas is here for a good time, not a long time. It closes on Sunday. No, but is this a little bit of a dream come true for you?
Yeah, it absolutely is. It is a dream come true. I mean, I covered a version of this show last year, and I said to the producers, a throwaway line, I'd like to have a cameo in one of your shows, and then they texted me and said, come and join us. So I said, why not?
Now, I fully expected to give Rascal a scathing review, but I've got to admit, the kid's not bad. Not even Al knows if this will lead to Broadway. Maybe it's just a stage he's going through. Tony Jones, 9 News.
Oh, this opens the door for you next, Tony.
You're wasted in sport.
Yeah. Hey, I got a little something for you.
Tickets.
Only one?
No, 2.
You and Annette are going. That's fantastic. She'll be thrilled.
No, we're cleaning the curtains. But do you want to go?
Lovely.
Sure.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Okay,
Right.
great.
Thank you, Teach. Great sell.
Right,
What's happening in sport?
Well, plenty, because coming up after the break, you'd need to give them back because Annette is going. We've got some breaking news on the latest Alicia Clarkson controversy. Get to know this new magpie. It's easy, it's just one click away. And finals bound. But it is final for the Rebels.
Incredibly fun, remarkably functional, and effortlessly stylish. Introducing the all-new Ford Puma. A compact SUV that really packs a punch. Looking good has never been this easy. Secure yours today. The all-new Ford Puma. Effortlessly stylish.
Well, let's start with the big development in the Alicia Clarkson story. Chief Footy reporter Tom Morris rejoins us. Tom, what's happened now?
Yeah, Tony, Alicia Clarkson has acknowledged that he lost his temper in a moment of frustration while coaching from the bench on Saturday in North Melbourne's loss to Port Adelaide. He said, "It was undisciplined by me and I've expressed my apologies to the AFL. As a club, we can do without these distractions, and as such, I've agreed that it's best if I remain in the coach's box on match days for the rest of the season." Jennifer Watt, the CEO of North Melbourne, said that Clarkson's language was inappropriate and the club fully supports him as he works to improve his reactions. And that's that for Clarkson, Tony, at least for now, because he does have a long rap sheet. But for now, he's been let off.
All right, Tom Morris there with that development. Well, Collingwood has made 5 changes ahead of tomorrow night's clash with the Bulldogs. Let's go live to Xander Maguire with the details. And Xander, they've been forced to get a little creative.
They have, Tony. He hasn't been named since round 1, but Ash Johnson is back for Collingwood's clash against the Bulldogs. He comes in to solve their forward line crisis alongside Jeremy Howe, as was announced earlier in the week, who is likely to also play forward as Myercheck, Cox and Pendlebury go out injured. As expected, Rory Lobb comes in for the Dogs for that match. Aaron Norton coming out with a knee injury. The depleted Tigers, they lose another one in Dion Prestia, who's been rested this week. He goes out alongside a concussed Shea Bolton as Jack Graham returns from a hamstring injury. And the Bombers, they get Harry Jones back from a 1-week suspension, but they lose last week's debutant Nate Caddy to illness. Still, they're considering this a clean bill of health, given how the broader club was affected by a virus during this week. He might be the only person in Australia, but as a virus swept through the Bombers this week, Brad Scott was grateful for the COVID years.
Enacting the protocols is pretty quick and pretty swift, and touch wood, we've avoided catastrophe.
Staff had little contact with the players through the week, ensuring a relatively clean bill of health. It comes as the Bombers prepare for Gold Coast, a side they haven't lost to in 8 years.
It's going to be a really big challenge for us, but for us, we feel like every week's like that.
Max Gawn trained fully and has overcome a calf corky, ready to face Fremantle's Jackson Darcy ruck duo, while Stephen May still has a smile on his face after kicking his first goal in 4 years. His celebration, a tribute to his mum, who had flown from the Gold Coast for the game.
The morning of the game, he said to her, "I'm going to kick a goal today for you." And you know, when he got the 50-metre penalty, he was talking about how he was that nervous about kicking the goal because he's already worked out his celebration.
The D's with a spring in their step, unlike the Saints, who have just 1 win from their past 7 games. Low on confidence, but Ross says that's just a mindset.
There's been plenty of Olympic swimmers get on the blocks, not confident they're going to win gold, but all they do is get into relentless action. And their prep's been solid.
While the Hawks find themselves in rich form and ready to fire for Jack Gunston's 250th, Sam Mitchell supportive of umpires today after reports claimed that they have been receiving mid-game directives from off-field umpiring officials through earpieces.
Anything that helps umpires with decision making and anything that helps them with clarity, I think is a good thing.
That article raises some interesting questions.
Certainly the directive when I was there was that there was to be no direction as to what decisions are made in game.
I think it's actually a good thing that we're learning on the run.
Xander Maguire, 9 News.
The top 4 spot is the prize for Carlton tonight as the Blues tackle Port at Adelaide Oval. Tommy Wren is there for us tonight, and Tom, the locals rightfully will go in as favourites.
I think so, Tony. They've won 3 in a row, looking good, and they've beaten Carlton by an average of 76 points a game in the 4 times they've met at this Oval behind me. But the Blues are unchanged, so they're really settled, and Port don't have Connor Rosie or Willie Rioli, so maybe an opportunity for the Blues tonight. No late changes, TJ, to either side. It's going to be Jeremy Finlayson, the sub, and also Jack Carroll for the Blues. Looking forward to a cracker, 3rd against 8. Only 1 game between them, though. The good news is we've had about 10 millimetres of rain today, but, Tony, it's cleared up really nicely. It looks like we're going to be all good for the night tonight, so not too much rain on the radar, so hopefully a cracking night of football for both these sides. Can't wait.
All right, terrific stuff, Tom Wren, on the spot there in Adelaide. Well, footballers have rarely been afraid of the spotlight, but never have we seen one with a dedicated website highlighting himself. Well, until now, anyway. Alicia Smith was taken by Collingwood at pick 10 in last night's mid-season draft, and Pies fans were able to learn all about him on bigroo.au. Now, that page allows the big man to push his credentials to the football world and document his journey as a new breed of ruckman.
Mum and Dad, they're my biggest supporters, I think, which you can sort of see in the website which they created for me. They've sort of helped me sort of launch off that, and yeah, I might keep it going, see where it goes.
Collingwood trained indoors today ahead of tomorrow's clash with the Bulldogs, and with its injury crisis mounting, Big Roo might not be far off realising his AFL dream. Melbourne's rugby union team, the Rebels, will be no more. Players and staff were told by rugby bosses today that the men's team would be wound up at season's end. The club was placed into administration in January, and agreement simply can't be reached with a new potential owner.
The participation licence to participate in the 2025 Super Rugby season was not granted to the consortium based on a lack of detail and transparency that we were provided recently.
Adding to the frustration of players and staff, the Rebels have already qualified for this year's finals. What a sad irony that would be if they went all the way and won the premiership there. So anyway, that is sport for tonight. I've got to go home now and just get Alan Rascal out of my head.
I think you secretly loved it, Tony.
I secretly did not, Tom.
They're good tickets, row A.
Sorry?
They're good tickets, row A.
Oh,
Well
I've
done.
been known to have tickets on myself, yes.
He's on tonight, isn't he? Lavinia is back now. Look, it's turning nasty, but at least tonight's shower's not going to stick around too long.
No, Tom, it'll be short, sharp and quite intense. So the roads are dangerous tonight, prompting the Bureau to issue a road weather alert. Most of the showers will be gone by 10 p.m, with just a few lingering until midnight. I'll have tomorrow's forecast for you next.
Switch on a Daikin Alira X split system with advanced streamer technology to remove more than 99% of harmful indoor air pollutants and surround yourself with cleaner air this summer. Daikin, perfecting the air.
Hello again. It was almost balmy in Melbourne before rain arrived this evening. The windy conditions kept it very mild overnight. The city only dropped to 15 degrees before warming up to 20. It's dropped back to 16. Moorabbin was hit with a gust of 80 kilometres an hour this morning. Northern and western suburbs clocked more than 70. And after such a mild night, most suburbs warmed up to 20 or 21 before the rain arrived. There's been 2 or 3 millimetres so far. It should be 5 to 10 before it clears around 10 p.m. Then the rain is expected to intensify through northeastern parts of the state tonight. The Bureau has warned that 6-hour totals of 60 to 80 millimetres are possible. So due to those high rain rates, there is a danger of flash flooding. A severe weather warning for damaging winds is also still in place for the Otways, central and eastern ranges. There's already been gusts of more than 100 kilometres an hour over alpine areas. Ahead of the rain band moving in from the west, that system has left totals of around 10 millimetres behind, and it'll clear out through eastern parts of the state tonight. The broader system, it's quite impressive. It's part of a northwest cloud band extending almost 4,000 kilometres across the country. That's tapped into tropical moisture in the Indian Ocean and is being pushed across by this strong cold front. And while there'll be mostly dry skies across Victoria tomorrow, the rain will move further up the coast. It'll be particularly heavy around Sydney across the weekend. There's only light showers forecast there tomorrow, but up to 35 millimetres on Saturday and 60 on Sunday. Up to 20 millimetres for Canberra tomorrow. The entire state of Tasmania will be under a severe weather warning for damaging winds tomorrow. There'll only be light showers in Hobart, but the winds will hit the city in the late morning. Adelaide finally broke its dry spell overnight with 10 millimetres so far, as we've already heard, and another 10 on the way tomorrow as it heads to 17 degrees. Back home, the rain will clear the far east in the early hours, but light scattered showers showers will continue on and south of the ranges during the day, and they'll fall the snow above 1,400 metres. But there'll be dry skies through the north with maximums in the high teens. The far east will be the warmest part of the state, with both Orbost and Mallacoota heading for 21. The southwest will be the coolest, 13 at Ballarat and Hamilton. There's a chance of a light shower around Melbourne early tomorrow, but it'll be a mostly dry and partly cloudy Friday. Once again, overnight temperatures will stay in double figures, then most suburbs are heading for 17. Dry skies for Geelong and a top of 17. The city's heading down to 13, then it should also reach 17. For the start of winter on Saturday, a foggy morning, then 14 degrees under partly cloudy skies. A little bit brighter on Sunday, 15 degrees. Light showers Monday and Tuesday, both days clocking in with maximums of 15. Rain on Wednesday. At this stage, it looks like around 10 millimetres and 14 degrees, 15 with a few showers next Thursday. Melbourne will have a much calmer day tomorrow. After a low of 13 with a lingering morning shower, we'll have a partly cloudy top of 17, and that will be it, the final day of autumn.
Oh, only 93 days till spring. Home stretch now.
Who's counting?
Yeah, not
Tom
long.
is.
All right, good on Livinia. Thank you. That is 9 News this Thursday. Ali's up next with the current affair.
We hope you have a great evening. For now, good night.